Hey guys, it's Purple Ferret here. Today's story that I'm drawing and going to talk about is one that has been on this channel before. It was actually supposed to be the first in a series where I talk about my characters and their stories. And the video is still up on my channel, but I don't really recommend watching it because one, I'm going to go over all the information that's in it, and two, the mic quality was very bad. I don't know why I never continued the series. I don't even know what the second one would have been. I have two ideas of which one it could have been, but I had so many stories back then, and some of them were abandoned stories, so it could have been one of the abandoned stories that I haven't really thought about in years, also. All I know is I just abandoned the idea of talking about my OCs for some reason. And it wasn't because I don't like it, because, clearly I'm doing it right now. I decided when I made this story that I would call it Work in Progress, and it's not the strongest name, but I think it fits enough for at least a temporary name, so I'm going to continue calling it Work in Progress. Speaking of names, the two main characters' names are Charlotte and Carolyn. There are two other named characters, but everyone else doesn't have a name because I really did not make it very far in production with this story. Not because I got bored of it or anything, but because I come up with so many stories that I get sucked into them. Sometimes I circle back around and sometimes I don't. And there's a bunch that I have circled back around to a lot. And there's ones like this one that were left to rot until today. First, we have Carolyn, who is a psychiatrist, and she works in an asylum. One of her patients, named Charlotte, manages to trick her. And I decided it was kind of a supernatural, kind of magical thing. So there's not science involved in this, so I don't have to think too hard. Um, they fuse into one person. This is a thing that Charlotte is actually well versed in. She's not surprised at all. She's the one that made it happen. Carolyn, on the other hand, is freaking out because one, she had no idea this was possible. Two, it's kind of a terrifying experience if you weren't expecting it. Maybe sometimes even if you are. Essentially, Carolyn is being kidnapped because she doesn't know how to stop being one person. Charlotte wants to get out of the building and is far away from the building before she even wants to discuss letting Carolyn go. And since Carolyn doesn't really have an upper hand here and doesn't know how to separate, so she kind of has to just deal with it for the time being. So she agrees and they leave. Now, because they are fused together, when they go to Carolyn's car, while it does belong to one of the people in the body, it does kind of appear like she's stealing the car, because if anyone sees her and recognizes, hey, that's Carolyn's car, they're gonna know someone took Carolyn's car and not realize that Carolyn took her own car. So she kind of has to steal her own car. And because they don't really have anywhere else to go at the moment, they go to Carolyn's apartment. And Carolyn's not the most thrilled about Charlotte knowing where she lives, but it kind of can't be helped considering they are one person at the moment. Now, from this point on in the story, I didn't really have concrete details happening. I had like themes and some things that are going to happen later in the story because one of the things that Carolyn says to Charlotte right after they fuse is, I can't be this. I need to go to my brother's wedding in 2 weeks. And so they do go to that wedding because they're still fused together at that point, but it goes from being a very toxic situation to being more friendly as Charlotte is more honest about what her goals are. It really sucks that a lot of what I know about the story happens so late into the story that it's spoilers, and I really shouldn't talk about it because I really like those moments, but I can't explain what happens without spoiling everything. and I plan to tell this story one day, and I don't need the spoilers on the internet for anyone to find. There's literally so little about this story that I can tell you all that I have told my friends more because I don't care if they know the spoilers because it's not public knowledge, it's personal knowledge. Like, I talked about their character arcs and the other named characters, because spoilers, her brother is not named. I didn't name Carolyn's brother. I didn't name her best friend, who I didn't even mention. I haven't named her boss, who, features later. The character I named, I can't even tell you about because it would be such a major spoiler to name the character and explain who he is. Because just imagine years from now, someone who watched this video has no idea what to expect from any of the characters, but the main characters. And then they go, oh, but I know this character has this crazy thing going on, and his name was da da da. And then you hear the name da da da, and then you're like, oh, he's gonna do all this stuff. And instead of being surprised when it happens, you're just waiting for it to happen, and it takes forever to happen. And I don't want anyone to be waiting forever for the character to become important. If anything, I want you to be waiting for a character to do something interesting just because you think the character is interesting and not because you know what's gonna happen ahead of time. Well, now that I've exhausted all I can tell you about the story, I think it's about time that I talk about what's actually being depicted in the art. You were probably able to tell by the fact that she has 4 arms that this is them fused together for the first time. It's kind of in a blank room because I didn't feel like designing a whole room for this because I need to decide what everything in the psych ward looks like. The only thing I'm certain of is I like them to wear blue. And even then, that has nothing to do with the room. That has to do with their outfits. Something you might notice if you watched the video that I referred to earlier is that in their fused form, I made Charlotte's melanin carry a little bit more weight in the design. When I originally designed them, for some reason, I decided that I would take a mixture of features. I took Charlotte's dark curly hair and made it a little bit lighter in their fused form. And I took Carolyn's skin tone and made it just a little bit darker. But it made so much not sense. Like, there was no reason not to give her a darker skin tone. I think the only reason I didn't was to keep them from looking like it's just Charlotte and no Carolyn. But in the story, it makes sense for them to look very Charlotte because Charlotte is in control of the situation. Now I don't mind how similar they look because I imagine their facial features make up the difference of her not looking just like Charlotte. So I'm playing a very dangerous game right now. It is currently 12 hours before this video goes up, and I procrastinated for an entire week and didn't record the end of this video until now because I was like, I only have a little bit left and I got time. And then I realized that it was Thursday and I'm tired right now and I want to go to bed. And that's why I'm saying that I'm playing a dangerous game, because if I go to bed right now, then I might not have this video up on time. So I need to do it right now. But if I decide I'm too tired and go to bed, then I only have 2 hours in the morning to actually finish the video. And yeah, there's a minute and a half left, so it's not that much. But I can't just talk about nothing. I have to talk about things that are important things. Oh, did you notice that in order to make her arms work the way they do, her second set of arms has a very short upper arm? It's proportionally short. During the sketch phase, it was more obvious with the coat there. You can't tell at all, but I made it actually shorter. And that might be something that I had implemented since her original design. I have a vague memory of her art kind of leaning that way, but also not like explicitly mentioning it ever. Things actually changed quite a lot between the sketch and the final. Like the hand and the glasses changed, her mouth changed. I moved her eyebrow. The background didn't change much. I cleaned up that one line and the coloring, and that's it. I also forgot to mention that during the speed draw, I didn't record whenever I made the background by accident, so that's my bad. It was a very quick process though. I hope you enjoyed this video and that I'll see you in the next one. Bye!